that QRadar also detected that SQL injection attack, that an RPC was actually executed on that particular machine in here. And we see here the address was this one, the .12, and QRadar detected that good guy has been actually compromised. But how do we protect the good guy from this type of event? We know that antivirus is not effective. So here we are going to deploy Trusteer Apex into good guy, and to do that we're going to use BigFix. So here we are at the BigFix console, and we have all the fixlets, which are the things that BigFix can actually take an action. So we're going to select that first one. We're going to take an action here, and the action is to deploy on actual good guy. So we're going to click OK, and by doing so, that machine is going to be nicely patched, and we're going to go back to good guy and see that now he will not fall from these types of attacks anymore. So the guy now has the user ID and password, the credentials he needed, so he's going to actually use them to log on to that Altoro application, and he's going to exploit that SQL injection that he found with the remote scanning that he did, and his objective is to get privilege escalation. He wants to get an admin account, so he can move phones and do extract information, whatever. So he's gonna actually log in from any machine. We're gonna do it from the same machine where we have QRadar, so we can see the attacks actually coming, because to do SQL to exploit SQL injection attacks, you don't need any sophisticated machine really. So we go here, and we're gonna launch a browser. And we are actually going to log in into Altoro using James Doe stolen credential, the user ID and password that he got, and he logins in here. He goes into recent activities, and he knows that this field is actually vulnerable. Notice QRadar detecting all that, but we'll get to that later. And we actually going to paste in here the SQL injection that we have. We see the long SQL injection union select type of attack, and we click submit, and we have achieved the privilege escalation. Notice that by invoking that command, the database hands me all the user IDs and password of all the users. So now we have an admin credential, and notice that QRadar found that right away, and see that, in particular this expat injection that the XGS detected. QRadar is aware of it. Now the guy has privileged credentials. What we're going to be showing next is how ISAM can actually block those SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and many other type of SQL or other vulnerabilities that can from being exploited. And it has a web application firewall as part of the reverse proxy. So when the bad guy is gonna actually try to go through through that reverse proxy, it's actually going to be stopped. Of course, we can have stopped that with our IPS, as the XGS. We'd also have the same capability. In fact, that web application firewall within ISAM is basically our XGS technology for everything that goes on HTTP and HTTPS ports. So we go back to this server to launch a new instance of the actual browser. So we close it completely to erase all the cache, and we are going to go through this bookmark that actually takes us through the web application firewall, and we log in as before. We go to the very same field that has the very same vulnerability that hasn't been fixed, and when we actually paste the same SQL injection and we actually submit it, instead of getting the admin password as we did before, we get that ISAM actually blocks that type of attack, and we see that being reported into QRadar. Now the bad guy is gonna use those admin rights, those credentials that he escalated the privilege into admin. He's a database admin now, so he's gonna use those access to try to move phones, track information, whatever you want. But he doesn't know that we have Guardium in here, which Guardium is monitoring all the SQL coming in and data coming out into the database, and it has a policy that says, well, if anyone, even if it's the DBA that tries to move phones or do some unauthorized actions on the database, does so, please let me know. And then we're going to show actually how Guardium can block that as well. So from here, we're going to do a POTI session, and we are going to actually log in with those admin credentials into this application, and we're going to move some phones. So we have a script that shows us the balances in the actual account, and there are $52 million in there, and we actually gonna use a script called do steal money that is actually going to move the funds from one account to another, and they are successful. In fact, if we check on those balances again, we instead of $52 million we have $1.61. But again, QRadar has been watching all these because Guardium talks to QRadar, and we see that that information has been sent. There it is. We got Guardium notifying that the policy indicated that it needed to inform QRadar about it. But we can also show that we can make Guardium not only inform but also enforce a particular policy. So we're going to close this connection in here, and we are going to put the money back. So we have a script here that puts the money back, the $52 million into the account back. And we're going to go into another POTI session with instead of that DB2 admin, we're going to call DB6. And for this particular policy, again, we can see the actual balances in here, and these are the 52 million. And if we try to steal the money from this one, Guardium enforces terminating the connection, and that action did not take place. And in fact, if we view again the actual command, the balance, we'll see that the balance still remains in the account because Guardium prevented the transaction from happening. So if we click in here, we see that the $52 million are still there. So this shows again Guardium enforcing access as well.